In a stormy evening in the Blue Ridge Mountains, a piercing yowl from a female bobcat shattered the quiet at the Appalachian Wildlife Sanctuary. No one could have foreseen that this moment would spark an extraordinary tale of connection that defied all expectations. The newborn bobcat, shunned by his mother moments after birth, found salvation in the weathered hands of an old man who never imagined such a destiny. In Ezra Thompson's care, Rusty thrived with a red flannel shirt, a bottle of formula, and boundless devotion, a rare bond between a human and one of America's elusive predators. Ezra Thompson, a 73-year-old retired wildlife biologist, never planned to raise a bobcat in his cabin near the sanctuary in North Carolina. Having spent decades ensuring animals roamed free in their natural habitats, his days now revolved around quiet hikes and tending his garden. But fate intervened. One rainy night in April 2025, rangers rushed an injured pregnant bobcat to the sanctuary. She'd been caught in a poacher's snare, her legs and flank torn from her desperate struggle. Her condition was dire, yet the team vowed to save both her and her unborn kit. For 40 hours, veterinarians and volunteers battled to stabilize her, administering fluids and treating infections while monitoring her pregnancy. Ezra, a longtime volunteer, stayed at the sanctuary, dozing in a creaky chair by her pen. 2 days later, she gave birth to a single male kit. But joy turned to concern when the mother rejected him. Each attempt to place the kit beside her was met with hisses and swipes. Stress and trauma had severed her maternal instincts. Despite interventions, including a consult with a behaviorist, she refused to nurture him. After 48 hours without food, the kit's health plummeted. Ezra couldn't stand idly by. With the sanctuary director, Dr. Clara Hensley's reluctant approval, he took the kit home. "We've exhausted all options," Dr. Hensley said. "When Ezra offered to raise him, I had doubts, but his heart's in it. Sometimes that's enough." In his cozy cabin, Ezra fashioned a nest from old quilts in a warmed crate and fed the kit a specialized formula every 2 hours. He named him Rusty for his tawny, spotted coat. That first night, Ezra barely slept, tending to Rusty at 9 p.m., 11 p.m., 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and 5 a.m. sitting on his kitchen floor. He cradled the tiny bobcat, coaxing milk from a bottle. When Rusty's eyes flickered open and met Ezra's, a spark passed between them. It was like he was saying, "You're my chance," Ezra later recalled. "I promised I'd see him through no matter what." The weeks that followed were grueling. Ezra set a pocket watch to track feedings, ignoring his creaking joints and sleepless nights. Neighbors fretted over his health, noting the lines etched deeper in his face. But Rusty's soft chirps and growing strength erased Ezra's fatigue. Slower to develop than mother-raised kits, Rusty gradually flourished under Ezra's care. His green eyes gleamed, his spotted fur grew sleek, and he began to toddle around the cabin with playful curiosity. The day Rusty took his first wobbly steps was a triumph. Stumbling, then stubbornly trying again, he earned a chuckle from Ezra, who filmed it for the sanctuary staff. "He's not just walking," Dr. Hensley said, watching the clip. "He's fighting to live. It's remarkable." At 1 month, Ezra brought Rusty for a checkup at the sanctuary. Vets marveled at his progress. Though smaller than his peers, Rusty was vibrant and clung to Ezra, purring at his voice. "I've never seen a bobcat bond like this," a vet noted. "You're his whole world." Ezra's life transformed. His cabin, once a haven for solitude, became Rusty's playground. Social visits dwindled and trips were postponed, but Ezra felt no loss, only purpose. "Every day with Rusty teaches me something," he told colleagues. "His habits, his quirks, I'm jotting it all down. This isn't just care, it's a window into his kind." At 2 months, Ezra introduced Rusty to the sanctuary more often, hoping to socialize him with other bobcats, perhaps even his mother. But she remained hostile, showing no recognition. "Nature's bonds can break," Dr. Hensley sighed. "But Rusty's got a good life with you." Ezra's cabin soon resembled a wildlife nursery. He crafted climbing posts from fallen branches, made toys from rope, and set up cozy nooks. His landlord, a distant cousin, never checked in, accepting Ezra's vague talk of research. One day, when Rusty was 2 months old, Ezra ran out of clean blankets. Digging through a trunk, he found an old red flannel shirt, a gift from his grandson. Wrapping Rusty in it, he noticed the kit's delight, pawing and nuzzling the soft fabric. From then on, Rusty wouldn't settle without his shirt, a quirky comfort that warmed Ezra's heart. Rusty grew stronger, his playful pounces and curious sniffs filling Ezra's days with joy. The old man and the bobcat forged a bond that transcended species, a testament to love's power to heal and unite in the wild heart of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Rusty's love for the red flannel shirt was immediate and undeniable. Whenever Ezra pulled it out, the bobcat would sit patiently, letting Ezra slip his legs into the sleeves and gently tug the shirt over his head. Once dressed, Rusty would prance around the cabin, emitting a soft chirp of contentment, as if showing off his new look. Ezra snapped a photo and sent it to Dr. Clara Hensley, who called back, chuckling. "Ezra, you've turned a bobcat into a fashion icon," she teased. The shirt became Rusty's security blanket, a substitute for the maternal warmth he never knew. When anxious or tired, he'd nuzzle its fabric, and at night, he refused to sleep without it. As Rusty grew, Ezra resewed the shirt to fit, making it a cornerstone of the bobcat's life. Their days settled into a natural rhythm. Ezra rose at dawn, preparing Rusty's breakfast, first formula, then vet-approved ground meat. Rusty trailed him everywhere, a curious shadow. "He's glued to you," Ezra's neighbor, Tom, remarked during a visit. "Close the door, and he'll yowl until you're back." Early on, Ezra carried Rusty to the sanctuary in a padded crate. As the bobcat grew, Ezra arranged to volunteer remotely 3 days a week, leaving Rusty in a secure sanctuary pen for the other two. The first separation was heart-wrenching. Rusty wailed, clawing at the pen as Ezra left. In his truck, Ezra sat for 15 minutes, steadying his breath before driving off. Leaving was tough, he admitted, but coming back and seeing his joy? That was harder. Felt like I'd betrayed him. By 6 months, Rusty's bobcat instincts emerged. He leaped onto shelves with startling grace, stalked Ezra from behind furniture, and pounced playfully. His vocalizations, soft growls, chuffs, and chirps, became a language. Ezra learned Rusty's sounds for hunger, boredom, play, or sleepiness. "It's like we built our own code," Ezra told a visiting researcher who marveled. "You're not just raising him, you're speaking his language." Life with Rusty was full of light-hearted moments. Once, Rusty leaped into Ezra's bath, freezing in confusion as water soaked his fur, then splashing with glee. Another time, he discovered a mirror, batting at his reflection for hours. When Ezra introduced him to the cabin's porch, Rusty froze, overwhelmed by the rustling pines, distant cars, and bird calls. Pressing against Ezra's leg, he took hesitant steps, bolstered by the old man's calm voice. "He trusted me to guide him," Ezra said. "That's a weighty thing." At 1 year, Rusty weighed nearly 15 kilos, his meals now a kilo of raw meat. Playtime demanded more space, and the cabin felt smaller. Yet Rusty remained gentle, never using his claws or teeth too roughly. His favorite gesture was a hug, paws on Ezra's shoulders, nuzzling his neck. "Bobcats are solitary, but adaptable," Dr. Hensley observed. "Rusty's instincts let him thrive with you." By his 2nd year, Rusty was a 25-kilo marvel, his tawny coat gleaming, his movements powerful. The cabin could barely contain his energy, but his quirks endured. He still insisted on the flannel shirt, now patched and resized. During storms, he'd drag it from the closet, eyes pleading for Ezra to dress him. At night, he'd try to curl onto Ezra's lap, oblivious to his size, chuffing happily when Ezra called his name. "He's not fully wild nor human," Dr. Hensley said during a checkup. "He's something unique." Reintroducing Rusty to other bobcats at the sanctuary proved futile. He cowered beside Ezra, trembling, while other bobcats hissed or fled. "He smells like you, soap coffee, the cabin," a behaviorist explained. To them, he's an outsider. Ezra knew the cabin couldn't hold Rusty forever. A grown bobcat needed space to roam and climb, to be what nature intended. Yet the bond they shared, forged in flannel and trust, made letting go unthinkable, a challenge Ezra wasn't ready to face. Ezra knew releasing Rusty into the wild would be a death sentence. The bobcat, raised with human comforts, couldn't survive untamed forests. Yet his cabin wasn't enough for a creature born to roam. Rusty needed a unique haven, a place to be the bobcat who cherished his red flannel shirt. With resolve, Ezra sold his old truck, dipped into his modest savings, and took a small loan to purchase a 4-acre plot near the Appalachian Wildlife Sanctuary. The land featured dense woods, rocky outcrops, and a babbling creek, perfect for a bobcat. Over 8 months, Ezra and sanctuary volunteers crafted Rusty's new home. They designed 2 seamless zones, a wild area with towering pines for climbing and boulders for lounging, and a sheltered home area with a familiar armchair, a toy crate, and a cozy nook mimicking the cabin. Rusty could move freely between his wild instincts and human comforts. The first day at the new sanctuary was overwhelming. Rusty paced nervously, clinging to Ezra's side, spooked by unfamiliar scents. And the vast space. He darted to the gate, yearning for the cabin's safety. "Maybe it's too much," a volunteer suggested, seeing Rusty cower beneath the armchair, refusing food. But Ezra stayed patient, sleeping on a cot in the home area, dressing Rusty in his flannel shirt each evening. Slowly, Rusty's curiosity stirred. He took tentative steps into the wild zone, sniffing ferns and scaling a low boulder. One afternoon, as Ezra read in the armchair, a rustle drew his gaze. Rusty perched atop a tall pine, his lithe form weaving through branches, eyes alight with newfound freedom. "That's when I knew," Ezra said. He was finding his bobcat heart. Within weeks, Rusty adapted, claiming favorite spots. A sun-warmed rock for mornings, a lofty tree for surveying his domain, and the armchair for evenings with Ezra. Ezra began leaving for short stretches, encouraging independence. At first, Rusty yowled, pacing and skipping meals until Ezra returned. But he soon embraced solo explorations. Yet reunions remained magical. Rusty would hear Ezra's footsteps, ears twitching, and bound to the gate, chirping with joy, nuzzling Ezra's legs. "Nothing beats that welcome," Ezra grinned. "He's my home as much as I'm his." Still, Ezra fretted about Rusty's future. Bobcats, though solitary, benefit from their kind, especially for mating. After consulting sanctuary experts, they devised a plan to introduce Hazel, a 3-year-old female bobcat rescued from an illegal pet trade. Having lived with humans briefly before joining other bobcats at the sanctuary, Hazel understood both worlds. Their first meeting was tense, with tranquilizers and safety protocols ready. But Rusty and Hazel showed only wary interest. Hazel watched from a distant boulder, while Rusty glanced at Ezra for reassurance. For a week, they stayed in adjacent zones, separated by a mesh barrier, close enough to scent and see each other. They exchanged soft chuffs and curious mews, sometimes lounging near the mesh inches apart. After careful monitoring, the team removed the barrier. On that crisp morning, Ezra stood anxiously as the gate opened. Rusty and Hazel hesitated, neither crossing first. Then Rusty, emboldened by Ezra's presence, edged toward Hazel. They faced each other, tails flicking, senses alert. Hazel let out a gentle chuff, and Rusty answered in kind. They circled, sniffing cautiously, no hint of hostility. That day passed peacefully, with both keeping a respectful distance, but visibly relaxed. At dusk, they retreated to their separate home areas, Rusty to his flannel shirt and Ezra's side. A week later, Ezra arrived at dawn and froze, heart swelling. Rusty and Hazel were romping together, chasing each other through the trees, leaping onto rocks, and tumbling playfully. Their chuffs echoed, joyful and free. Tears pricked Ezra's eyes, pride tinged with bittersweet realization. Rusty, once a frail kit cradled in a shirt, was embracing his bobcat nature. Rusty showed the world that love transcends boundaries, that a rejected creature can find family in unlikely places, and that new worlds can be built where wild and human hearts coexist.